What's going on, guys? So in this video I want to show you gloves like this and how you could make them, or at least the process to making gloves like this, and hopefully as cheap as possible. So this is one of the crafts that's getting into the weeds a bit with currency. To get a Leviathan Gauntlet base, it's going to require about a divine or more just to get a fractured life regeneration rate modifier on it. And there's a few ways to go with this, so let me show this to you over here. Check this out. So instead of looking at the top-end armor-based Leviathan gauntlets that are available in Path of Exile 1, what if we looked at the stepbrother, kind of right here, the precursor gauntlets? So these provide armor of 307 to 353. They do require level 78, and it isn't the exact same amount of armor. It's a little bit less, but that means that you should pay a little bit less. So if in the process this is the cheaper way you want to go, this will be fine. You can still do T16, 17 with this. Like, the difference isn't going to inhibit you. Just step to the left and don't get hit by that thing and you'll be okay. I don't think it's that restrictive. So let's go into the guise of, we're going to look for precursor gauntlets just to see a price variance, okay? So if I go to the trade website, again, we're going to be looking for right here, precursor gauntlets. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to enter this into the trade. So I'm looking at Leviathan gauntlets, okay? Currently. So if I want to look at fractured life increase of regeneration rate, and I just kind of I start searching, right? You can see that we're getting into the weeds a bit here. So I don't really want a tier 5 roll. I kind of want something at least T1 or 2. And you can see that once I get in the range of even T4, it's about a divine just for these Leviathan gauntlets. So that's kind of not purchasable for everybody. So what happens if I looked at precursor gauntlets? What happens? And again, I'm looking for the fractured increased life regeneration rate in this example, and I'll show you how to do that on item level 85 gloves. So if I search, you can see man, I can, for 100 chaos, 120 chaos, that's a lot more affordable. That might be in the price range for you. And so for this video tutorial, that's kind of what we're going to do. We're going to try and get something just a little bit cheaper, okay? So let's go ahead and see if anybody actually replies. So 1 divine, that's fine. That's what I said. It's about a 1 divine range. I don't really care about anything else. As long as it's 85, 14 regeneration rate, that's okay. We're going to buy this and see if we can't get a little trade in real time. Who doesn't want a silly divine, right? Let's go. Grab, bingo, got one, fantastic. So I'm going to spend 1 divine on this. And by the way, we should be able to become a little bit more profitable by this entire craft process, okay? Awesome, so we got it. I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure that it was item level 85. Okay, so here we go. Now, before we go any further in the process, I just want to show you this. I'm using Awakened PoE Trade, so if I check out the gloves that I currently wear, the base is different, okay? But just based off of a few metrics here, if I had Dexterity, Life, and that was it. That's all we're looking for Leviathan Gauntlets. I'm getting 25, 40 divine back. So that one big scary purchase of 1 divine and a bit more investment, you're going to be able to recuperate that. Remember that you're making a piece of gear that you and other people are going to need or want in the end game to be strong, okay? Just when I'm making these divine conversations, it's worth it if it can go your way. So one thing we've been heavily relying on in this series of how to craft is this Horticrafting station and rolling chaos to get something that we want. And this really isn't any different, except there's more requirements on this. And there's a couple of ways we could have went. I don't need to have life regeneration rate. I could have went for maximum life and then used this Horticrafting station in a similar way. So what I'm suggesting to you is the following. Let's check this out. If the price tag is too high for life regeneration rate of some value, make sure that when you're searching this fractured value, here's what you're going to do, okay? So precursor gauntlets is the item type that we want. Here's how you'd set up that search. So something like this. I'm going to type in the word precursor, right? So precursor, and then we just end up typing in precursor gauntlets. That's what we wanted. In the miscellaneous section, item level was going to be at least 85. And then in the stat filter, all I want to type in is, let's say, maximum life, okay? So maximum life, not pseudo, not explicit, but actually fractured. So we're going to scroll down here. Just keep scrolling down to get to the fractured category. These are the implicits. That's not what we want. We want fractured. So number, maximum life, okay? And let's start off at least 90. 90 is a pretty solid roll. And this could have cost us 150 C, could have cost us 1 divine, but that's not tier 1. That's tier 3 life. So to get into tier 1 life, if I click on this, 94, you can see that the price kind of ranges, right? To stay in P1 or tier 1 life, it's quite expensive. There's not much here. So we're not doing that. And I'll apologize that this video is a bit long-winded in its thorough review of what's going on in the market to make this, but I want you to understand why we're choosing life regeneration and not maximum life. So let's dig back into the craft process here, okay? So step 1 was look for gloves that were Leviathan gauntlets or precursor gauntlets. That's step 1, okay? Now, our gloves are currently blue, so let's go over here to the stash, and we're going to make these actually rare. So target's not normal rarity, regal orb. Okay, so now that they're regal, that's totally fine. I am going to jack up the quality on this, so hit that to 20 quality, so it's perfect, right on. And now the next step is simply Horticrafting Station. We go to Horticrafting Station, and to make kind of gloves like I've got, we bench crafted in the increased area of effect and area damage. Now again, I'm a Righteous Fire player, that may not be something you want, but having that prefix open is kind of nice. There's a lot of options you can do there. So what we're going to do next, we're just going to type in the word chaos, okay? Because just like everything else, it's going to reforge a rare item for 100 vivid crystallized life force and always give us a chaos modifier on those gloves. And this is sort of the process we're looking for. We're going to keep doing this, and doesn't that look very similar? Doesn't that look kind of interesting to what we've already got, right? This thing rolled looks like tier 2 fire, tier 1 on the chaos, and tier 2 armor. And all of a sudden we have 665 armor, on precursor gauntlets, where I'm wearing 800 Leviathan gauntlets. It's not that much of a difference. Now there's no life on this, so I have to keep going, unfortunately, because I want to hit that tier 1 life. I could use an exalted orb. There's options here. Like, let's try this. Let's see what happens, okay? So you could try this. It's a bit more investment, but you don't have to. The first thing I'm going to do is I noticed that these gloves, they happen to have 2 open prefixes. So I know the weights of the modifiers that roll into gloves. Mana and life are typically the highest, okay? So if I bench craft in, go to the crafting bench, and I put these gloves here, and I type in the word mana, okay? I'm adding a mana modifier, a very low mana modifier, okay? So I only have 1 more prefix ready to rock and roll. Now all my suffixes are taken. So that means that the gloves have to, at the moment, currently they must produce a prefix. So I know this, and the chances are it's going to hit life. It may not, but odds are it should hit life. And if it doesn't, this is the best part. I could just re-roll it again at the Horticrafting Station. Okay, so let's try again. We're gonna hit this now with an exalted orb and see if we can't hit life. And we hit frickin' armor. Big sad, didn't go. What's our current investment so far? We've got a divine invested. We rolled it a few times. We used 1 exalted orb just because we could have, and we used a regal orb to start. That's all we did. So let's see what happens now. And we put a bench craft on it for very little. Back to the Horticrafting Station. Gloves go in. We're gonna type in the word chaos. Okay, let's re-roll it. Let's see what we get. And we might actually just hit what we want. Life could be good. Decent chaos res, good armor, good life regeneration. It's decent, but not a good enough roll for me. I want a little bit more, okay? So I want a little bit more life. And I'm okay to do this because this is not very expensive. 100 is like nothing, right? So we just keep spending. Life is good until we get something that we're happy with. Now, those would have been amazing. I had very low chaos. Not going to use them. Let's keep going. Okay? Just going to keep going. Okay, we're actually going to sell a helmet here that we made before. So stand by from the other video. we're making some trades here, getting some divine, working towards that mage blood, right? 1 second, dudes. Okay, now that that's done, let's go back to the Horticrafting Station and let's keep rolling chaos. Okay, so chaos spam. Here we go. Chaos, CHAOS, and we just go. We're looking for good chaos. Any resistance, dexterity, or life would be good. Almost amazing. Almost isn't. This is Ricky Bobby rules. Gotta have nice rolls or we don't go. Okay, that's a good start. It's a good start. It's got, again, low life. It's got tier 1 fire. It's got tier 1 chaos, T6 life, T7 armor. So I could stop right there, and the next step would be taking gloves like this over to my crafting bench, and I would just type in the word area, okay? Area damage for 1 exalted orb, or less if you can afford it, is going to give you 10 to 12 increased area of effect and 14 to 16 area damage, okay? If I added that, these would be done with 50 life. It's not tier 1, is it? But the process is very similar. And that fire resistance is actually kind of nice because remember, if you're a Righteous Fire character, that fire res is going to help regenerate over time because of your fire mastery. So this is sort of the process that we'd be done. I'm not gonna add anything. It's a good set of gloves. If I were to just test this at the market rate based off what we spent, we're gonna get a minimum of about 8 divine on this for like competing offers. And if we decide to toss an area of effect damage, it's only gonna go up. Okay. The fact that it does have low life is a little bit disheartening. It's not great, but we do have the open prefix, which is how we can add this. So the steps. Get some gloves. Make sure they're fractured life regeneration rate or life if you can afford it. The second step that you're going to do, bring them to a Horticrafting Station and start crafting chaos on it. Once you have chaos on it, look for 1 open prefix. Once you have the open prefix, add area damage if you're there. If it happens to be the case that you have 2 open prefixes, you can use this bench craft. One more time, I'll show you. if you press Alt on the piece of gear and it said prefix modifier, there was only one, you had two available, I would recommend that you go to the crafting bench, you add in the word mana, M-A-N-A, and you put that in for the cheapest roll possible on mana. And then use an exalted orb if you have it to add another prefix modifier. Because all of your suffixes are full, it has to add something it cannot, which would be a prefix. And we already added mana, which means one of the next highest weighted items would be life, in which case maybe you hit a nice life roll and then you go again. If the exalted orb isn't in your budget, just keep rerolling chaos and let RNGesus take its place. That's it. Now, we have something else we have to do to these gloves because they're not finished. You'll notice these gloves have this red and sort of green tint to them, okay? As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go through the whole process right now just to be thorough with it. I'm going to put in, right now, I'm going to add the area to the gloves, okay? So it's one exalt, done deal. We got a 1014, which is base value of area effect and base value. So it's the lowest it could have rolled, but that's okay. They're still great gloves. Now, how do I get that green and red on there? Well, these are called Eldritch and Exarch right here. I'll show it to you. Lesser Eldritch Ichor and Lesser Eldritch Embers, and you don't have to go any further. While you do get a slight increase by using a higher tier of these items, you don't have to. So let me show you what you're looking for. I'm going to take a couple of these. I'll take 30 of those, 30 of these, and the second that I toss on any of these effects, Ichors or Embers, it's going to change the gloves. Now watch what happens. Now the gloves are kind of blue, right? And they added this damage over time converted to fire. And then if I add in this Lesser Eldritch Ember, it turns kind of red. So now I get that blue-red. That's how you're getting that, okay? And all we're looking for, very specifically, is increased damage per 100 strength and ignites you inflict spread to other enemies. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to click this and hold shift, and I'm going to be looking for, on the top, damage per 100 strength. That's damage per 100 intelligence. Close, but not what I wanted. There we go. Damage per 100 strength. And the next thing we're going to add is going to be inflict. Again, we're going to ignites you inflict spread to other enemies to 1.2 meters. Now again, that's very good for Righteous Fire, but let's continue and see the process. Look for the word ignites at the very left. And try not to click past it. That would be terrible, and yes, I've done that. It sucks. Ignites you, inflict spread to other enemies. That's the last one. That's hilarious. That's the last one for the video. Awesome. So we have everything all set. Life is good. Now, we have some tricky things we have to do on the sockets, okay? And I'm going to go through this procedurally at the very end to tell you all the steps if you want to. But the next thing we have to do is get this thing to 4 sockets so that it can have Frost Blink, Shield Charge, Faster Attacks, Life Tap support. That's going to require 1 blue socket, a green socket, 2 red. So the tricky thing is getting dexterity on a armor-based piece of gear and intelligence. Armor wants to roll red. So here we go. Here's how we're going to do that. It's called socket juggling. Clicking on the crafting bench, we're going to put this piece of armor in here and type in the word sockets, okay? So socket. I'm going to click on 2 sockets, control left click, it's going to add 2 sockets. Then I'm going to highlight this and type in the word green. I want to add at least 1 green and 1 blue socket for 15 chromes. Done. Now I've got my difficult colors all set. If I click the word socket again, I can now go to 3 sockets. It's going to add red, most likely, and then 4 sockets red again. And the reason I knew it goes red is because its armor wants to roll red. So let's continue. The last thing we have to do with these gloves to kind of get them off to the market is take these things, grab a fusing orb, which is going to try to connect these sockets together. Once, twice, thrice, quads, 5, 6, 7. No streamer client today? Done. Boys and girls, that's essentially what I did for my gloves. And that's so you can get something similar. Now, I wanted to show you this. Like, I purchased 14% life regeneration rate gloves instead of going for tier 1 or 2. And the next reason is sort of, like, that's the crafting process. But the next reason's why. So let me just share this with you really quickly. I was going through my path of building, okay? And I want to focus your attention sort of right over here. So if I looked at, as an example, total life regen, life regen from tree, it's 2,218, okay? And I wanted to know, based off of my ghoul paw, which is the gloves that I wear, how much does this change? How much is like my total recovery, life recovery, and then my total life regen? How much does this actually change based off of the life regeneration rate tier that I have? So if I edit this, instead of looking at 19, what if I put it to 14? Okay, I hit save. Now watch the value on the left-hand side here when I hit save. We're currently at net life recovery is 1,137. I hit save. It's 1,044. In my opinion, if you don't have a lot of wealth or you can't afford like 20 div gloves, I understand, then don't invest in it. You're only going to lose like 50 life regeneration, which is quite a bit, but we can mitigate that. There's many ways to mitigate that that doesn't cost you divines. So the reason I'm showing you this is the gloves that we just made today. They are not 19, they aren't 21. They are like kind of not, they're not insane as far as tier goes, but they're going to keep you alive and make you feel tanky. In summary, we found some Precursor or Leviathan gauntlets because they're high armor gloves. We looked for fractured life regeneration rate or maximum life, whichever was cheaper at the time. We took these to our Horticrafting station, we rerolled Chaos until we're happy with what we got. A decent Chaos resistance, good fire resistance, life, and whatever else we wanted, okay? When there was an open prefix, at least one, we used the crafting bench to add mana and then Exalt Slam looking for tier 1 life. If that didn't happen, we sent it back to the Horticrafting station and keep rolling until we had a pretty decent set of gloves with one open prefix, okay? When the open prefix was there, we bench crafted in area of effect and area damage. That's going to help us out. Once that was finished, we made sure that we added in these 2 implicits, one being the Searing Exarch and the other being the Eater of Worlds, the red and green guys, until we got the modifiers we wanted. In our case, it was 3 damage per 100 strength and it ignites you inflict spread in 1.2 meters. Done deal. That's the gloves. If I check these out, kind of like a summary here, let's have a look-see. We're looking at just like this. Without the bench craft, what's it looking like? There's actually nothing on the market like that. So let's take off the implicits. What do we got? 8 divine, 12 divine, and it didn't cost me that much. It cost me, I would speculate, between 1 to 2 divines to make this, and that's business as usual. Okay? You can make these gloves. You can do this. Can't wait to see what you make. Catch you guys in the next one.